Okay, let's dive in. We're unpacking something incredibly personal today, how we actually feel about our bodies.
Mm,
It feels like the most internal thing, doesn't it? But your sources for this deep dive show just how much that inner feeling is shaped by, well, loads of seemingly small things, everyday influences.
that's absolutely right. Yeah. We're looking at a chapter from the material you shared that really pulls back the curtain on these forces, often overlooked ones.
Right.
And our mission today really is to highlight these specific little things, understand how they kind of get woven into your own inner landscape, and importantly, maybe help you spot potential influences on your perceptions.
Yeah, and just to be clear up front, this isn't about blame, is it? Or finding fault.
No, not at all.
It's more about building awareness, recognizing these subtle but really powerful currents that shape this fundamental relationship you have with your physical self.
Exactly. Awareness is like the crucial first step to
Mhm.
reclaiming some ground there.
Yeah.
So where do we start? Well, the sources point to childhood, where so many core beliefs get formed.
Hmm.
The chapter really emphasizes the impact of how your parents felt about their own bodies, and maybe even more, what they actually said
Hmm.
about themselves or, about other people.
That point really hit home for me. The material has this powerful idea in it. The way we talk to our children becomes their inner voice.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, just think about that. Their words, maybe just casual comments they made, even when you were tiny or they didn't think you were listening.
Hmm.
Those could have been silently installed deep inside, like becoming the script you unconsciously run on.
And that internal script, it often gets tested or, reinforced by early relationships.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the attitudes, the reactions of the first people you dated or were intimate with, they can leave surprisingly deep marks on your body hangups,
Mm,
particularly if those first experiences involve judgment or negativity.
right.
The sources suggest, a lot of deeply held insecurities trace right back to those really vulnerable moments.
So it starts internal, maybe family, then early relationships, but then the wider world comes crashing in, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
The sources spend quite a bit of time on media.
Yeah.
What's the main takeaway there? Maybe something we don't even consciously notice.
Well, it points straight at how tools like Photoshop are just everywhere now
Yeah.
and often undetectable.
Yeah.
The effect is your baseline idea of what's normal is constantly being shifted,
Mm.
compared against these, frankly, unattainable ideals that are just presented as
Like
reality.
you're comparing yourself to ghosts.
Exactly. Ghosts.
And it's not just glossy magazines anymore, is it? It's the whole flow.
No, it's constantly.
Books you read, websites, shows you stream,
Everything.
all feeding into this concept of normal and ideal, often through characters or people you kind of identify with.
And what's really subtle there, the sources suggest, is how this stream doesn't just show you ideals.
Mm.
It teaches you what to value.
Ah.
It builds a framework for how you judge yourself and others.
Speaking of judgment, the chapter calls out the relentless focus on celebrity bodies. Oh, yeah.
We consume that constantly, like the pressure to bounce back after having a baby or comments on aging.
Mhm.
It's like their bodies are public property under review.
And seeing that all the time makes things like, say, obsessing over post-baby weight seem normal for everyone.
Right.
But it's often a unique pressure tied to their job, their
Sure.
image. The sources are really clear. Getting sucked into that scrutiny isn't helpful for you. It drags you into a comparison game you were never meant to play. The real power comes from holding yourself to your own standard, whatever that is for you.
And it's not only the curated media, is it? The sources also mention comments from strangers.
Yeah, like street comments, cat calls.
Even if someone thinks they're giving a compliment, what does that actually do?
It diminishes you, essentially. It turns your body into an object, a public thing for someone else's quick assessment.
Right.
Instead of, the vessel carrying you through life. It makes it about their split-second view, not your actual worth or complexity. So we've got these early internal scripts, then media, then random interactions. But the influence often feels strongest closer to home, right? What about our social circles? Friends.
Yes. The chapter makes a really good point here. It says it's often less about specific things your friends say
Okay.
and more about what you absorb just by being around them, their actions, their own attitudes towards their bodies. You kind of subconsciously soak up the collective mindset of your closest friends. So their hang-ups, their diet talk, their self-criticism.
Yeah.
It can quietly become part of your own inner chatter.
And the chapter also links this to the quality of those friendships, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It suggests that if your relationships feel a bit superficial, maybe just convenient,
Uh-huh.
where you don't feel truly seen and valued for who you are deep down, then sometimes your focus can shift. It can default to just maintaining physical acceptability.
Like a shield, almost.
Kind of. Or just the easiest thing to focus on when that deeper connection feels missing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Which then seems to circle back to our own internal judgments again.
Exactly. The chapter encourages a look inward. Like, how do you judge other people, especially physically? Often that reveals way more about your own mindset, your own insecurities, than it does about them.
Oof. Yeah, that's a mirror moment, isn't it?
Can be.
And related to judgment, the sources talk about labeling foods, assigning good and bad based on appearance goals.
Right, which shifts food away from just being, fuel and energy and pleasure to being morally loaded. This totally skews your idea of what's important for your body. It sidelines holistic health in favor of just aesthetic results.
So with all these pressures, external and internal, how do we even start to understand our actual physical selves more clearly? The chapter mentions understanding health versus, like, your genetic build.
Yes, and important details like the fact that fat cells don't just disappear when you lose weight, they shrink.
Okay.
And that basic concepts like big or small, heavy or light,
Mm-hmm.
they're completely subjective, relative. So if your main way of gauging your body's acceptability is by comparing it to others, the sources are emphatic. You can't win that game.
Right.
It's a losing battle
Yeah.
because the target is always moving, and it's set by forces outside of you.
And this comparison trap, it crops up with fitness too, right?
Definitely. The chapter highlights the difference between seeing fitness only as a tool to get a different body shape.
The end goal mentality.
Exactly. Versus seeing it as a holistic way to keep your body working well, feeling capable, staying healthy for the long run.
So it's the difference between exercise feeling like punishment, maybe, for what you ate or how you look.
Yeah, or penance.
Yeah.
Versus seeing it as a way to, honor and support the body you actually have for everything it does for you.
That's a big shift in perspective. Now, moving into broader life stuff.
Yeah.
The sources talk about the impact of experiencing love that's, genuinely deeper than just appearances.
It's powerful because it's one thing to kind of know intellectually that looks aren't the most important thing in a relationship, but it's totally different to actually experience being loved and accepted in a way that isn't tied to how you look. That kind of experience can be incredibly freeing. It helps you really feel that deep connection doesn't hinge on meeting some physical standard.
And then there's the flip side, unrequited love. The chapter notes how easily we can blame ourselves physically.
Yeah. It's so common, isn't it? If only I was thinner, or if only I had different hair. That kind of thinking. And the sources wisely point out the simple truth. Someone who would only value you based on your weight, or some other physical thing, well, they aren't really capable of seeing or loving the real you anyway, are they?
Good point. It says more about their shallow priorities.
Exactly. Not about your fundamental worth.
Which leads us to perhaps the most critical point the sources make, kind of tying it all together, self-worth.
Or, maybe more accurately, what happens when you don't have other strong foundations for your self-worth?
Explain that a bit more.
Well, if you don't have a solid sense of value, rooted in your character, your skills, how you treat people, what you contribute, if you don't feel you have significant things to offer the world beyond just what people can see, then it's almost inevitable, the sources argue, that your focus gets stuck on the most visible thing. The thing most easily judged and criticized by others.
Your appearance.
Your physical appearance.
Yeah.
Your sense of value defaults to the superficial because the deeper stuff doesn't feel solid enough.
Wow. That feels foundational.
It really is.
Okay, and let's bring in one more specific, almost counterintuitive physical need the sources mention. Not getting enough time outside.
Yeah, it's a simple reminder of our basic biology. We're creatures built to interact with the natural world, to get sunlight.
Right.
The sources even note that our food is basically solar-powered energy from plants. So denying your body that direct input warmth, light, it can literally mess with your hormones, your feel-good chemicals. It impacts your mood, your energy, and that definitely includes how you feel in your body. It's a subtle kind of neglect.
Which brings us right back around, doesn't it, to the most basic idea in the chapter, what bodies were actually meant for.
Yes. To laugh, to play, jump, hug, love.
The simple things.
The fundamental human experiences. And the sources make this really powerful, straightforward point. There's zero evolutionary advantage, zero necessity for any specific physical ideal.
Like chiseled hip bones or whatever.
Exactly, or a certain dress size.
Yeah.
To do any of those vital human things. Your body's purpose is to let you live and experience life, not just to look a certain way.
So, okay. We've really unpacked a lot from this chapter in your sources. Everything from those quiet echoes of childhood words, early relationships, the massive noise of media, friends' subtle influences, our own judgments, how we think about health and fitness.
The lessons from love, good and bad.
Right. The huge role of self-worth, even needing sunlight.
It's quite a web of influences, isn't it?
Yeah.
So many operating just under the surface.
It really is. And that leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought to maybe sit with, building on all this. If so many of these subtle forces, external, internal, shape our body image, often without us even realizing it, pulling us away from just appreciating our bodies for what they do and for who we are, then what does it actually mean to consciously, actively, intentionally cultivate an appreciation for your body, based purely on its capabilities, its role in letting you live your life, and your inherent worth as a person?
Yeah. How much power can you start to reclaim just by becoming aware of these forces that have been quietly shaping you all along?
Something to think about.